Now, there's nothing quite as satisfying as seeing those who treat others like punching bags become a punching bag themselves. They start off as the big bad wolves of the schoolyard with a god complex, but oh, the sweet justice awaits them. From getting a taste of their own medicine to getting outsmarted by the loser protagonist, here are the top 10 bully moments when bullies get what they deserve. But before we begin, be sure to hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon and set us all to be notified about all our latest new videos. And with that said, let's dive on in. Starting off the list with Nomi Seiji from Accel World, who was introduced as a very twisted and malevolent person. This guy's got a backstory that screams, "I had a tough childhood," with an addition of, "My brother was the worst." Turned into a hardcore burst linker, Seiji misused acceleration constantly and also blackmailed other players. This was his favorite extracurricular activity here, and for this guy, human bonds and friendships meant nothing. Don't get tricked by his charming and approachable facade. He's the kind of guy who will stab you in the back in a heartbeat and then ask if you need a band-aid. He treated the virtual world of Brainburst like his personal playground, and everyone else was just a toy to be broke. But he goes as far as that. Accel World is not exempt from giving the bullies what they really deserve. In a purely satisfying moment, Haruyuki shattered Nomi's ego in Brainburst, pushing him to beg for mercy. It was definitely nice to have an anime where the hero doesn't show any mercy towards the bully and dishes out the justice that they deserve. You go, Haruyuki.
見かけない厨房がいたからちょっと遊んでて。
And next up, we have an anime where the bullies take the form of Yakuza, making them even more dangerous and ruthless. We get to see two bullies named Arima and Kanuma pretty early in the anime when they bully a middle schooler named Sasaki. You see, both these boys had no qualms about chasing a middle schooler and dissing his friend who got beaten up. You see, these boys belong to Shishitoren, an extremely violent and cruel gang. Stepping into their turf meant death. And what those two middle schoolers did was basically walk into a lion's den. But hey, they got justice handed to them in the best way possible. Joe confronted Arima and Kanuma about their middle schooler bullying ways, and let's just say, well, things didn't go well for our wannabe tough guys. The expressions on their faces just before getting a good beating from Joe were, well, they were priceless. Let's also take a moment to commend Joe's unwavering morals, which he refused to compromise on. Even though he himself was a violent and ruthless person, the boys got what they deserved and were even stripped of their status as Shishitoren gang members. What could be worse than that?
お疲れ様です。総長に挨拶するときはその角度な。はい。
Ah yes, Tokyo Revengers. Another anime with some of the best, most ruthless, and over-the-top bullies. You know, bullies and Yakuzas are just not a good match. At least for the ones who don't know how to stand up for themselves. Yakimichi, our protagonist from Tokyo Revengers, faces intense bullying at the hands of Kiyomasa, an extremely brutal bully. Oh, and also a former member of the Tokyo Manji gang. Arrogance was Kiyomasa's middle name, and his mission? To make Takamichi's life a living nightmare, complete with beatings. He was willing to put an end to Takamichi with the help of a bat. Seriously, this guy needs some serious therapy. But hey, every bully's got their downfall in waiting, and Kiyomasa gets it handed to him in the most satisfying ways. You see, Mikey and Draken, two of the strongest Tokyo Manji gang members, are not a fan of bullies. And watching a bully bullying someone right in front of their eyes makes them take immediate action. It didn't take a full-on fist fight, but it still left their target's ego in pieces. Kiyomasa was humbled and learned a valuable lesson. Never mess with someone who catches the eye of the mighty Mikey. Now we have a very interesting pair of bullies who terrorize the school with their dominance. They absolutely love to abuse their authority and constantly bully their fellow students. Linnea is an extremely arrogant and loud girl who loves to dominate others. On the other hand, Persina believes she's superior to everyone else and constantly looks down upon others. When these two meet, there's nothing but trouble. I mean, if arrogance were a sport, these two would be the reigning champions, no contest. We witness these girls getting humbled when Rudius finds out that his cherished mini statue of Roxy was destroyed by their hands. It was not even a fight, it was just a one-sided massacre. But this is exactly the way you discipline unruly pets. Not only did he single-handedly annihilate them, but he also turned them into personal servants. The two experienced the worst humiliation of their lives, especially Linnea, as Rudius took a peek at her, well, that might have been a bit too far, but they were in fact white. They must have learned their lesson after such a mortifying experience. And moving on, we have a group of bullies who managed to piss off the wrong guy in the worst possible way. And yes, I'm talking about Josuke Joestar, a generally chill dude, but the moment you make a comment about his hair, it's game over. You see, Josuke copied the hairstyle of his hero who saved his life years ago. As somebody insults his hair, he feels as if they're insulting his hero. Now let's talk about Josuke's patience here, or rather, his selective patience. This guy can withstand all kinds of torture and insults, but the moment you comment on his hair, he flips out. Turtle injured? He sleeps. Being mugged of clothes and money? He sleeps. Hair insulted? Instant death. Insulting Josuke's hair is the equivalent to being bad at math in front of Fugo. Poor bullies thought they had an easy target, but the moment that ill-fated comment about his hair left their lips, the atmosphere completely changes. You start hearing the boss music, and that's when you know you screwed up, buddy. You screwed up. You can hear Jotaro's voice changing, and that's when he punches the bully brutally, sending him flying at a distance. Alright, let's talk about Mairo Orihara from Durarara, who's an absolute badass, by the way, when it comes to threatening a bully. You see, Mairu's strange personality attracted a lot of attention on her very first day at Raira Academy. I mean, when you're openly reading an adult comic in the middle of class, you're definitely going to turn some heads. Naturally, this didn't sit well with the class reigning popular girls, and they decided to make her the prime target of their bullying campaign. But Mairo? She's now one to back down. When she walked in and saw her desk to face with graffiti, she didn't cry, she didn't run. Oh no, she went full action hero. She zeroes in on one of the girls and threatens to pour the thumbtacks down her throat if she doesn't open up about her leader. The poor girl had to expose the leader in order to keep her throat intact. Lesson learned. Never mess with anyone from the Orihara family because they'll get you killed in a heartbeat. This is probably the best way to deal with bullies. It'll definitely keep them from bullying anyone else in the future. But hey, don't try this at home, kids. And when we talk about the most outrageous bully versus bully moment, we have a very fascinating character from Heavenly Delusions who make it very clear to everyone who the ultimate boss is. You see, Maru is a peace-loving guy who just wants to keep a low profile and avoid unnecessary attention. But when push comes to shove, he has to take action. Poor guy was playing a game in peace when suddenly a group of adult bullies decided to rain on his parade, thinking they'd found an easy target. They approach him rudely as if they own the place. Being the chill guy he is, tries to stay calm, but then one of these geniuses decides to break his tooth. That, my friends, is a tipping point. You know you're in deep trouble when Maru, usually so calm and collected, gives that satisfied smirk. And what happens next is nothing short of epic. Maru, channeling his inner action hero, proceeds to destroy all of them single-handedly. And the bullies had no idea they would be beaten to a pulp by a high schooler. So to all future troublemakers, if you see Maru, maybe just let the guy play his game in peace. Otherwise, you might end up being in the next story about why you don't want to mess with Maru. Alright, but this one is one of my absolute fan favorites from Tsukimichi, where Makoto destroys Dragon Slayer Sophia and Mitsurugi. You see, Makoto is undeletable. He just can't die. No matter what anyone throws at him, he just can't be taken down. I mean, this guy can practically create an entire planet if he wants. How can you even compete with that? Spoiler alert, you don't. Now Dragon Slayer and Sophia, the true two geniuses, decide to mess with Makoto. They directly challenge him, thinking that they've got a shot at taking him down. Now the dude initially struggles to keep up with the two, which gives them an ego boost and an increase in their overconfidence. But hey, it's Makoto we're talking about here, and when he flips the switch, his god mode is turned on. Bro literally let his power slip and not only made Sophia and Mitsurugi piss their pants, but also nuked an entire forest. These two were incredibly lucky that Makoto took them out of desperation rather than going all out. If he had been serious, they wouldn't have the luxury of seeing another day.
逃げんなよこらこのクラスで無難に生きるためのルールをいい度胸だ今ぶち殺す
And there's nothing quite as satisfying as watching the ego of a cocky boy absolutely crushed. Apparently Kenya loves to terrorize others and make them submit. He's just that kind of guy. He targets weaklings because he's a weakling himself. After all, bullies never target the ones who are stronger than them, it's quite obvious. So Kenya, the notorious bully, tries to scare Akatsuki on the very first day at the Babel Academy. But you see, Akatsuki is an absolute badass when it comes to showing the bullies who the real boss is, and the dude punched Kenya so hard that he went flying out of the classroom. Now Akatsuki comments how he loves to bully weaklings who love bullying other weaklings. And let's not forget about Akatsuki's almost crushing Kenya's head moment. And you know what? Just a friendly reminder here that messing with him is like playing with fire. You'll only get burned. I mean, it's the only way to deal with bullies. Crush their ego so bad that they never dare to touch an innocent human being again. Remember guys, bullying the bullies is not bullying. It's community service.
感情が覗くはずもない。ああ、それだ龍炎。
When it comes to an anime bully who is an absolute badass not only by his personality but by his looks as well, Kakeru Ryun takes the cake. Known for his ruthless and manipulative behavior with his fellow students, Ryun often uses underhanded methods to get what he wants. Now he loves to thrive in chaos and enjoys tormenting his targets, but dude made a grave mistake targeting Ayana Konji, the guy who just nobody can outsmart. So Ryun thinks he's being all clever, using Kei as bait to lure Ayana Koji into his trap. Little did he know he was basically digging his own grave. The two came face to face with each other, and let me tell you guys, this is one of the best hand-to-hand combat scenes that you'll ever come across. Ayana Koji not only destroyed Ryuen's body, he also destroyed his spirit. Imagine getting beaten up so brutally your hostage starts to feel bad for you. This was the first time we got to see Ayana Koji's terrifying side, and it was a lesson in why you should not mess with this guy. And with that, we'll be wrapping up this list of the bully moments where bullies get what they deserve. There are a lot of moments like this one, so we must have missed out on some of your favorites. But don't leave us hanging though, be sure to comment them down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, and as for now, I'll catch you later. See you in the next one.